All right, episode 16 of Life is Horror. Today's episode will be about the year 2016, my top 16 favorite horror films from 2016, plus some honorable mentions, and I'll discuss a few bad movies at the end, maybe. And also, today I will be discussing new films such as 65, Capsules, and Quicksand. Quicksand just got released on Shudder, and Capsules can be found streaming on Tubi for free with ads, of course. And also, in today's episode, I'm going to be revealing my new background because I thought this one was a little boring. So let's get rid of this wallpaper. And we're going to start my new wallpaper, which is going to be a slideshow. So this will change every minute or so. All right, so and it's going to be like alphabetical order. So this is A Nightmare on Elm Street. This will be my background for now. And so yeah, let's get into this. Let's talk about a few horror news topics. So first one I want to talk about because I'm most excited about this one is Terrifier 3 has officially been confirmed by the director and writer Damien Leone, and he has stated that this one's going to have a much bigger budget and it's going to start filming hopefully this fall, so we can hope to see, maybe we'll see a Terrifier 3 next year in 2024 by Halloween. Fingers crossed. So we'll hopefully get this one a lot quicker than we got part 2. We had to wait a while for that one because of COVID and whatnot, pushed it a little bit. So yeah, I'm excited for that. It's gonna be bigger budget. The budget for part 2 was like I think a couple $100,000 or so, and it was like crowdfunded. This one actually has like at least $1 million. I heard like it's gonna have like $1 million budget, which still isn't that much compared to a lot of other movies, but for a Terrifier film, this is going to be the biggest budget one. And Damien has said that he's going to try to bring it back to the tone of part 1. Yeah, he's gonna try to make it more scary, and I guess less like part 2, which was a little bit more supernatural and fantasy like. He's gonna kind of scale that back and bring it back to part 1, um, which I liked what they did in part 2 until the end when the sword started glowing. That was my only little nitpick. Was like it got a little too crazy, supernatural, weird. But going back to part 1, I'm fine with that. Going back to that tone, toning down the supernatural weirdness at the end of part 2. I don't mind that. But yeah, so I was a big fan of 2. I liked the first one now. Grew on me, and so I'm really excited for Terrifier 3, and I'm sure they're gonna bring back the actor who plays Art the Clown. They got to. Like, it would be like replacing Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger. Oh wait, they did do that in the remake, and look how that turned out. So hopefully David Howard Thornton comes back to play Art the Clown again. So, and next thing is Veronica, that supernatural movie, that Spanish film from 17 or 18. It was on Netflix. I think it still is. That movie is getting a prequel finally. I'm not sure what took them so long. But it's going to be called Sister of Death. So it's going to be about that one like blind nun that you saw briefly in Veronica. And so that's already been made, and that's coming out later this year to Netflix in October. So not very excited about that. I thought Veronica was just very average. It wasn't anything spectacular about it. It was just like okay, like very forgettable. And it's from the guys who did Wreck, I think. I think one of the directors who did Wreck or one of the sequels. There's like 2 different directors, I think, who made those movies. They kind of like took turns at some point, right? Uh, but one of them is, I think, doing this one also, or I don't know. I didn't do that much research, but I know the person who did Veronica did the Wreck movies, the director. So, but yeah, Sister of Death. That's what it's called, and it's coming to Netflix this year. Wrong Turn is getting, or the creator, I should say, wants there to be more movies. He wants there to be 2 more sequels to the remake, which I'm a fan of. A lot of people did not like the new Wrong Turn remake, and it's my favorite in the series. It might be a very, controversial opinion, but that's what I always do here is state controversial opinions. I don't think they're that controversial, but then I read some of the comments and they're like, "You're fucking crazy." Um, but yeah, like I thought the remake was definitely the best in the series, and now the creator of the original and the person who wrote the remake, Alan B. McElroy, I think was his name. He wants there to be two more movies to the remake, which I'm fine if they just do one more. I mean, I love the way the other one ended, but yeah, I feel like there is a little bit of room for more. You have the final girl go back to the foundation and finish the job, or get that one her boyfriend back because he's like still there. Like I, I could see there being a sequel, two more. I don't know, but definitely one more. I wouldn't mind having one more movie. Bring back the same writer, director. Bring back the same actress from the last one because she was awesome. So yeah, that's all I got to say. Horror news topics. That's all I got for now. So let's jump into some of these reviews. Let's get my phone out here. I gotta pull up my notes and the synopsis and whatnot. All right, let's talk about Quicksand. This is the one I just watched, so this one's most fresh in my mind. Quicksand. There we go. Shudder original. Fear will drag you deeper. All right, so this is from Andres Beltran. It's like a half foreign language movie. It's set in Colombia, so there's a lot of this movie that's Spanish, and a lot of it, for some reason, is not subtitled, which I thought was a little annoying. A married couple on the brink of divorce becomes trapped in quicksand while hiking through a Colombian rainforest. It's a struggle for survival as they battle the elements of the jungle and must work together in order to escape. So, that on paper sounds like my kind of movie because I've said before in the past how I like movies where characters are like trapped in one location, especially when it's like really claustrophobic and they're trying to like escape, something like Saw or Frozen, so many movies like this, and I usually like them. But the reason why I like the ones that I like so much is because the characters are great. You gotta have great characters in movies like this where you're just stuck with like two people. Like if you're stuck with two people you don't like, then the movie's not gonna work. And that's what happened here. In movies like Frozen and Saw that I listed, those were great characters. And it was interesting. The way it was directed and written, very clever. This was not that at all. The writing, these characters, they're about to go through divorce, so just out of the gate, there's just this negative energy, and they're just, you don't like them. And because of how these characters are set up, that by the end of the movie, the reason why they're written this way is because this incident is going to like bring them closer together. That's just the typical arc in every movie ever made. They hate each other at the beginning, and then they go through some shit, and then at the end they're like, "Oh, we're much better people now because of it. I love you. Let's rip that divorce paper, and we're gonna just patch things up because we were stuck together in quicksand. Now I realize how much you love me because you were willing to jump into this shit to save me, but then you just got yourself fucked as well. Like the guy's an idiot. Like she sinks deep, her head just completely submerges, and then he just dives right in with not even thinking it through. Like, well, how am I gonna get out? Like, what an idiot! Like he could have just grabbed something, put it in there. Like I hate to be that guy who's like, well, if I was in this situation, I would have done this, this, and this, and I'm smart. Like, but no, like they were pretty dumb, or at least he was, to just jump in there and just get himself completely screwed. He didn't think it through at all. Um, but yeah, like it never gets interesting. It's just so boring. I don't like this couple. The performances were fine. I thought the guy was better. And they keep talking about their kids, and we never see their kids at all in the movie. And there's just like this mugger character who's just randomly thrown in to, I guess, like scare them into this dangerous like hiking trail. Like they knew to avoid this one area, but because this guy just shows up to mug them, they're like, oh shit, let's run towards the area where we were told not to go because he won't follow us there because it's dangerous. And then they get themselves screwed in the situations. Like I'd rather get mugged than go in some fucking trail that's known for being super dangerous and having like poisonous snakes and shit. And then that's like their only main villain in the movie, really, is the snake. That's the only like threat they encounter while inside this quicksand. There's a snake that just appears, and there's a convenient shotgun that was inside the quicksand. And then, yeah, the whole opening, like, is just stupid. Like, it wasn't interesting at all. Like, it's just two guys in the woods. They hear noises, and then one dude falls near the quicksand, sees a skeleton, screams, and then cut the credits and title card. Like, that opening wasn't interesting at all. All it did was just establish, all right, there's a body, and then it was just this movie's biggest problem was just the characters, and they didn't make the situation that they were in that terrifying. Some things just seemed so convenient and unnecessary. Like the dude who works at the hotel is the one who sent that guy to mug them. Like, what an asshole. Like, all right, you two go hiking, avoid this area, and then he looks at the one dude, the mugger, and he's like, all right, go get him. Like, they're working together. Like, all right. It was just ridiculous. I just was not a fan of this movie. I do not recommend it. Thankfully, it's less than 90 minutes, so it's kind of a quick in and out. But yeah, I definitely do not recommend Quicksand. Next movie will be Capsules. All right, let me find it here. This is a very short movie. It's 70 minutes long. And Hell is a Trip, directed by Luke Momo. Momo, isn't that like that one monster, internet monster from a few years ago, that weird looking lady? After experimenting with mysterious substances, 4 chem students find themselves addicted in the worst way possible. They'll die unless they take more. So that's kind of an interesting concept. Like, it's a drug, and like, it will kill them if they stop taking it. So you just gotta keep finding more pills and keep taking them. Otherwise, they'll die in some horrific way. I forget how. It's been a while since I watched this one. So I wrote here, 4 drug addicts take unknown pills that turn out to be from an alien planet, and now must take them to live or choke to death. So that's how they die. If they stop taking these pills, they'll just choke to death. And I can't relate to these characters. I'm not a druggie, and I thought these characters were just moronic as fuck. Like, they see these pills, they have no labels on them, they don't even know what the hell it is, but they're just like, let's take them. And then crazy shit ensues because of it. So it's kind of a moral story. It's a cautionary tale of don't do drugs, because then crazy shit like this can happen. And it could be an alien pill. I think that's what they were getting at the end. Was that it came from like some alien planet, or something fell out of the sky and that's where it came from. I don't know. I don't remember much about it. This could have been more interesting if it weren't so small in budget and lacking any visual like style. The movie just looked bad. I didn't like the look of it. And like I said, did not like the characters. The acting is decent enough. And the stoned dialogue was amusing and seemed accurate. Like, they talked the way I imagine people on these drugs would be talking. They said some pretty funny stuff. The dissection gore, there's some like Cronenberg body horror stuff, like people getting cut open. So that part was actually pretty good. The gore was well done there, but that's all the gore you get, is them like cutting open a dead body to like examine the insides and find out what exactly this drug is doing to them on the inside. Most of it is set in an apartment, like just very small apartment. And then like in the third act, the last like 20 minutes, it's just them in the woods, like the Blair Witch, yelling for someone, like, Max, where are you, Max? Oh, we lost him. And it's just that for so long, and it's kind of boring. This movie is not scary, violent, or even suspenseful. It's hard to care about these people and to hope they find a cure, because they bring this trouble onto themselves by being stupid. The on-screen text reminding us of the dosage count seemed redundant. Also, thank God it's only 70 minutes long. I found the score a tad annoying at times also, and that can really bring down a film, is when the music is fucking annoying, which I found this movie's music to be a little annoying at times. So yeah, Capsules. I don't recommend this movie either. Next movie will be 65, Adam Driver. Alright, this is a much better movie compared to the two I was just talking about. I would slightly recommend this movie, although I didn't think it was that great, but it was fine. Definitely better than the last two. Still looking for it. Alright, PG-13 dinosaur movie by the guys who did Quiet Place, who wrote A Quiet Place and Haunt. It's a PG-13 time travel dinosaur action adventure thriller with two characters driving the story, and they're not the best characters, I'll say. Um, I what I didn't like about this movie was the like language barrier between them. Like for some reason they decided to make it to where the girl he's protecting the whole movie doesn't speak English, so there's like not much they can't really talk to each other throughout the movie, so it's just a lot of like him pointing and telling her like, hey, don't do that. And like I don't know why that had to be a thing. Like why couldn't she just be an English speaking girl for him to talk to and rescue? And I don't know why they had to write her to be that way, but whatever. So I like but I did like the father daughter type relationship that they had, and the fact that he needs to protect her because he wasn't there for his sick daughter when she was on Earth. You know, he's always in space. He's an astronaut. Then his daughter was sick on Earth and died, and he wasn't there. So now he feels like this is like his moment of redemption. He can protect this girl because he couldn't protect his daughter. You know, we've seen that before, time and time again. But you know, it works. The acting is serviceable, and the CGI works. CGI dinosaurs look pretty good. And there's two good scares in the movie. A claustrophobic scene that should have been extended. There was a scene that felt like right out of the Descent. They're crawling through like little tiny like rock tunnels and it's like collapsing, but it was a very quick scene. They should have like really extended that a little bit. The visual of glowing pieces of meteors falling from the sky, that was pretty cool. So it's a very good looking movie. Bigger budget, definitely. It's definitely the biggest budget of the three films I've been talking about. And the ending is a little unclear. Do they make it back home, or are they just going to starve in space? I wasn't quite sure when the movie ended. It's like, okay, they left Dinosaur Planet, but like, how, like they went back in time. How are they going to go back, you know, to the present or back to the future? So they just kind of left that a little open. So I'm not sure what the fate is exactly for these characters, but I like to think they made it back. But yeah, and it moves at a decent pace, and they at least make the girl helpful and not just like a constant thorn in the side. I don't like those characters in movies where there's just that one character who's just constantly like fucking things up and they never contribute. They give her a couple of little badass moments. They don't make her like just a constant idiot making noises and getting Adam in trouble, you know. So yeah, this one, it's watchable. It's not great. Could have been better. But yeah, decent dinosaur flick, worth checking out. So that's the end of that. So now, let's get into the main event. Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Cool background. 2016. So I've seen 85 movies from this year. And again, I gotta state this in every video. These movies, when you look them up, they might not say they're from 2016, but technically they got a wide release in the US or North America in 2016. So that's what I went off of. So yeah, 34 films on my 85 film list are listed as in a separate year, and there's 34 films from 2016 that I had to kick off this list because they actually got a wide release later. And 3 of the films on my top 16, when you look them up, will say that they're not 2016, but they are technically. I could not have seen them until 2016. So let's get going. Number 16 is Hell House LLC. Now, my number 16 has changed a lot in the last couple of weeks. I've been like flip-flopping, putting different movies at this spot because there are so many other movies on this list that I have the same rating for. Number 16 is a 7 out of 10, and there's like at least 10 other movies I could have put right here. So many other movies that when I mention them later, you'll be like, how is that not on the list? There's a movie that will not be on this list that I'm sure will be on everyone else's list. Most people's number 1, but I think it's a good movie, but just not amazing in my opinion. But yeah, Hell House LLC. I went with this one. This is a found footage movie. This is my favorite of the trilogy, and there's supposed to be a prequel coming out at some point. I think there is a director's cut of this movie, and I haven't seen it yet. But I heard it's like way longer. But this is a good like 90-minute found footage, in and out, creepy, effective found footage film with good characters that I actually liked. And I like the gimmick of it, you know, them setting up a haunted house, things in the haunted house moving on their own, like that clown statue, very creepy, so effective that they use it twice in both movies. They use it. It comes back in part two. So yeah, I really like this one, Hell House LLC. Next movie, number 15, is Pet, a love story. Look, it's shaped like a heart, the cage. This is a movie that has a couple of neat little surprises, little twists and turns, twists that kind of reveal themselves earlier than you would expect, like 20 minutes in, and then there's another one around the corner. And one of the twists I did kind of see coming, but the first one that happened so soon in the movie, I was like, oh shit, that's interesting. And it just kind of takes it in a different direction than you were expecting. And yeah, I don't want to say too much about it because this movie is one you don't want spoiled and don't want to know much about. It's just a love story. The guy captures a girl he's in love with, puts her in a cage, and that's all I'll say. I think he works at like a zoo or something. Or I don't know, I forget. Maybe I'm thinking of Split. All right, so yeah, Pet. Check it out. Jack Goes Home. All right, so this one's an 8 out of 10. We are in the 8 out of 10 territory now for the next like few movies. So Jack comes home, or Jack Goes Home. This one stars Rory Culkin, and this is directed by Thomas Dekker. That's the guy. Thomas Dekker directed this. He's the actor in the Nightmare on Elm Street remake and Laid to Rest. So yeah, that was an interesting fact I did not know. All right, so yeah, Jack Goes Home. This one has a twist in it also, and it's a twist we've seen before, but I did not see it coming in this one, and that really helped boost the film. And I especially loved Rory Culkin in this film. The dialogue, very entertaining, amusing, very well acted. I really dug the hell out of this one. Just really enjoyed it. And like I said, great twist that totally surprised me. Jack Goes Home. Before I Wake, Mike Flanagan film. I've heard some people say this isn't really horror because it's so like lighthearted. I don't know, it's like not lighthearted, like dramatic. It's more of like a sad drama. It's a sad movie. It's depressing, and it's PG-13, but it's horror enough, and it's very visually stunning at times. And I love like the dreams, although they're not really dreams, or I guess they're the kid's dreams, but he like brings his dreams into the real world. So it's kind of like a Nightmare on Elm Street movie in a way. And this one has another cool little twist at the end when you find out who this monster is, like where the idea of this monster came from, like how this kid dreamt this monster, what influenced his, creation of it and whatnot. And the acting is phenomenal in this. You got Thomas Jane, and I know the other actress, but I'm blanking on her name right now. I'll pull it up real quick. Kate Bosworth. All right. And you got Jacob Tremblay playing the kid. Tremendous kid actor. He's done quite a few more movies since this, and he's great in this as the little kid. And so yeah, this is like a Nightmare on Elm Street Mike Flanagan film, and it's really, really good. It's on Netflix also, I think. So yeah, Before I Wake, really good. This movie got shelved for like a year or two. I remember this one was supposed to come out in theaters at one point, then it just didn't come out, and then finally it hit Netflix. So yeah, this one got a wide release in 16. All right, The Eyes of My Mother. This one is a black and white film by the director Nicholas Pesci, who did the awful Grudge remake, like the remake, the second one from like 2020. But he also did Piercing, which I enjoyed. And this one was just really freaky. It had a really eerie opening. This guy just was really unsettling, and just his appearance and the way he was acting, and there's a lot of gruesome moments towards the end. It's been a while since I've seen it, so I don't remember exactly what happens towards the end of the movie, but I remember there being like eye trauma, like shit with eyes. I mean, it's called The Eyes of My Mother. I remember someone getting like their eyes plucked out or something like that. But yeah, just really good, effective, creepy black and white film. And I think this is easily this director's best movie. But I do recommend seeing Piercing. That's like one of those movies where a guy's hearing voices telling him to do shit, and it's like the voice of his like unborn baby, or I think no, that's pre-Venge. It's his baby was born, and his baby's like telling him to go kill prostitutes or something. It's kind of a dark comedy. But yeah, check out Piercing, but check out Eyes of My Mother. I much prefer this one. It's awesome. And Kill Your Friends. Now, this one is not listed as horror when you look it up on Letterboxd, but it's like the British version of American Psycho. And Nicholas Hoult from Warm Bodies and The Menu, he is fantastic in this. It's quite funny at times. It gets graphic in a couple of moments, and it's like one of those movies where he's like narrating. He's kind of like talking to the camera, I think, and he's working in the music industry, and it's just really fun. I had a great time with this one. So yeah, Kill Your Friends. They may not be horror, but it's horror enough because of the violence in the third act, and it's called Kill Your Friends. So it's a dark comedy, and it's a fucking awesome one. It's not as good as American Psycho, but it's close. It's pretty damn good. Kill Your Friends. And what number are we at this point? We are at number 10, so we are in the top 10. Again, these are 8 out of 10s. These next two. The Invitation. This is a cult movie with fantastic, like Oscar-worthy performances. You got Logan Marshall Green from Upgrade. Fantastic film. Also, check that out. And yeah, this one just has a lot of great tension. It's tension throughout, and it's like kind of a mystery because you're not quite sure early on, like, is it like in his head? It's kind of one of those movies where like maybe he's just seeing things that aren't there, like he's just assuming that they're a cult. But then as the movie goes on, you're like, okay, yeah, this is definitely going in that direction. And then the third act was quite intense. Like the acting is just, that's worth the ticket, the price of admission alone. Just the acting, like, watch this movie for these actors and the tension. It's super well done, very well done. Next up is a supernatural witch movie, and it's called The Autopsy of Jane Doe. I have reviewed this one on my channel way back in the day, and I just love the way this story unfolds. It's super interesting because you're not quite sure what exactly this Jane Doe lady is, and the things they find inside her body, the way the autopsy is done seems pretty accurate, how they do it step by step, and yeah, just where it goes in the end, and that creepy ass song that plays. And they actually hired this actress to just be dead on a table for so long. That must have been an interesting job to take, just laying there naked, and you never see her breathing. So good job on her. Like, I don't know how she stood still for so long. There's so many shots in this movie where you're just kind of like looking at her, you're waiting for her to like fuck up, to like blink, or to see her chest move, but she's perfectly still. And yeah, impressive. Fucking Annie in Halloween couldn't keep her eyes still for a second. But yeah, just really fun, creepy ass supernatural film. Oh yeah, this has Brian Cox in it, right? And this is from the director of Troll Hunter, which is a very beloved found footage film that I'm very lukewarm on. I thought it was okay. But yeah, Autopsy of Jane Doe, highly recommend this one. All right, Trash Fire. Next up, number 8. So we are officially in 9 out of 10 Tori. These are all movies I really love. And this one is from the director of Excision, which I fucking love and adore. I think that movie's masterful, 10 out of 10. I absolutely love that movie. But this is my second favorite film from that director, Richard Bates Jr. And this is a horror comedy, definitely a lot of comedy in this one. It's kind of like a rom-com at the beginning. We're just kind of focused on these two and their relationship, and then they go to visit his parents, and his parents don't like his girlfriend. And the girlfriend in this one is she's the actress from The Final Girls and Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. She's done quite a few horror movies. And yeah, I remember cracking up at this movie. It's quite hilarious. And yeah, just, I don't want to say too much about it. It's unique in a way. I think it's a unique horror comedy love story, and it's just a blast. I can't say too much about it. I don't want to give away too much. The Shallows. This is a shark movie that I think is probably the best shark movie since Jaws. That this one and 47 Meters Down, I go back and forth, but I think this one I would give the second best shark movie title to. And there's not a lot, unfortunately, but this one and Jaws, yeah, this is definitely uh, the second best because it's just you got Blake Lively in the lead role here. It's a really a one person show for the most part. Her and a seagull, and I like that relationship, like her talking to the seagull. It's kind of funny, and visually this movie is beautiful. The location, the way it's shot, the coloring, it just looks fantastic, and the CGI and the shark isn't that bad. It's not fantastic. Looks a little, you weak in some spots, but it's pretty effective. It's really well done, trapped in one setting. Like I was talking earlier, when I was talking about Quicksand, I like movies like this usually, trapped in one setting, and so many things going wrong. And the jellyfish scene, like beautiful to look at, but also terrifying. And yeah, just a beautiful looking, very intense, well acted shark movie, and you don't get too many of those. You get all those stupid fucking Sharknado movies instead. Train to Busan, a South Korean zombie movie on a train, and this one has a lot of heart, a lot of emotion. It's a father-daughter movie, and just this guy constantly like trying to protect his daughter at all costs from the zombie horde, and the way the zombies are in this one is quite terrifying. They're the fast ones, or I guess you could say this isn't really a zombie movie. It's like a infection, so it's slightly different, but whatever. They act the same way. Zombies in these virus films, they all kind of behave the same way. They're just trying to beat the shit out of you and eat you and bite you. So they're zombies in the way. But yeah, just the way they are in this one, how aggressive they are, how fast. And in this one, they kind of change it up a little bit by making them like blind in the dark. Like if it's just a little dark, they can't see for some reason when the train's going through the tunnel, and that's a really intense scene where they're like trying to be as quiet as possible, going like on the top where you put your suitcase or go on that little railing trying to get across before the train reaches the end of the tunnel. And the ending of this movie is quite emotional, very sad. But yeah, it's a very effective movie. Love it. It's got great characters and a great asshole character that you can't wait to see die. But yeah, just fantastic zombie infection movie. One of the best ones out there. Train to Busan. My number what? Where are we now? That was number 6. This is number 5. Another Mike Flanagan film. He had quite a few movies that came out in like a 1 year span. I think there's another movie from this year that he did. So yeah, Hush. This is a home invasion movie, and it's like kind of like Don't Breathe, but the opposite. Like she's uh, what is it? Like she's deaf, so she can't hear this guy, and like he's just fucking with her the whole movie. And it's the guy from 16 Cloverfield or 10 Cloverfield. What's it called? 10 Cloverfield Lane, and just the back and forth between them, and just the writing of this movie. It's very well done. Great final girl here, and that scene towards the beginning with the friend trying to like get her attention, but she's deaf, so she can't hear her like banging on the door. It's a great scene, and just the fact that like this movie could have been over like 10 minutes in realistically, but because this guy is so sadistic and he's just toying with her, that's what makes it a 90-minute film instead. He just wants to keep fucking with her because he's bored. And then that's what ultimately, gets him in the end is, he should have just killed her. But he didn't. But yeah, great mask. I wish he would have kept it on for more of the film, but he kind of takes it off towards like the second act. He quickly just removes it because she's like, I haven't seen your face. And so, I won't be able to tell the police anything. And he takes off his mask. He's like, oh, you've seen it now. So he just wants to kill her. Like, it didn't matter if she saw his face or not. He's just a psycho killer with no motivation. And that's what makes him so scary. So yeah. Number 5, Hush. Number 4, The Conjuring 2. This one is this is a fantastic sequel that's like on par with part one, but I would give part one the edge, just slight edge over this one. Just because I had the theater experience of part one. This one just flew by like under the radar. I didn't even hear about it for some reason. I wasn't paying attention back then, I guess. So I didn't see this one until a couple years after. But yeah, the Nun is introduced in this one, and James Wan, his direction, his style, the scares in this one, very effective. He knows how to craft good scary sequences. He knows what to do with the camera, where to point it, and he's my favorite horror movie director working today. And I wish he would keep directing these Conjuring movies, but he keeps. It seems like he has a pattern of doing two and then like handing it off. Like he directed Insidious 1 and 2, then he handed it off to someone else. He did Conjuring 1 and 2, and he's like, all right, someone else do it. And then with Saw, he just did the first one, and then he like helped write the second, the third one, and he's like, all right, someone else direct this shit. I'm done. So that's just his thing, I guess. He just does one or two, and then he just hands the keys to someone else. Yeah, Conjuring 2, fantastic, haunting possession film. Yeah, number 3. So number 2, Don't Breathe. I was just talking about this when I was talking about Hush. This is the opposite. So it's about a guy who's blind in a house that's being invaded, but then the tables kind of get turned, and the bad guy becomes the good guy, and the good guys become the bad guy. So, but then there's some other twists that I won't spoil. That I guess the trailer spoiled, but I never saw the trailer for this movie. But yeah, they go into this blind guy's house to rob him, and then they find out that they find out that even though he's blind, he's not to fuck with. This guy is like a vet, and he knows his house very well, and he traps them in there, and then he like shuts off the lights, so then it's like they're blind too, like him. And so there's a lot of great sequences like that in this movie. Lots of sequences where they have to be very quiet and don't breathe. And the way this movie's shot is beautiful. Fede Alvarez, another great horror director working today, just has a great eye for visuals, and just knows how to make a very interesting, beautiful looking horror movie. Like Evil Dead, one of the most gorgeous looking horror movies in recent memory, in my opinion, at least. But yeah, just the lighting of this film, the cinematography, the soundtrack, and just it's so fantastic. I love this movie. So that's why it's my number 3. Love it. Don't like it as much as Evil did, but it's just one little notch below it. Yeah, I wish Fede would do more movies like this. I think he went on to do like action movies, like that one spider web movie or whatever it was called, girl that caught in a spider web or something. But yeah, Neon Demon by Nicholas Refn. This is a very gorgeous looking movie. I was just talking about how the other movie was a gorgeously shot film. This movie is gorgeously shot and lit, in the soundtrack. Whew, this is just something else. Like there's nothing that quite matches this movie when it comes to like the soundtrack and the way it looks. This really is definitely one of the most beautiful movies of recent memory, and this is a 10 out of 10. This is just a fucking phenomenal movie that I don't care what anyone says. It's fantastic. It's definitely a horror, and it's not pretentious in my opinion, and I don't think it's slow. It's almost 2 hours long, but I don't think it's that slow at all. I love the performances here. You got Keanu Reeves playing this like sleazy like motel owner, and he's quite intimidating in this. And then just where it goes in the third act is quite unsettling, and it's just amazing. I don't want to say too much about it. I wish I did a review for this movie, but I didn't. But yeah, it's about a girl who wants to become a famous model, and then there's tension between her and the other models, some jealousy, and she starts to rise to the top rather quickly because of her natural beauty. And there's kind of like a commentary and lots of things in this movie, just like a commentary on not only like the industry that she's going into, but also about beauty itself and narcissism and all kinds of stuff. So It's about many different things. There's a lot of layers to this film, and it's very well done. And definitely check it out if you haven't. It's phenomenal. But 10 Cloverfield Lane is my number one. I love this movie so much because of the characters, the writing, the tension is unbelievable. This movie from beginning to end, and you got this fantastic final girl in this movie, played by the one and only Mary Elizabeth Winstead. And if you know how much I love and absolutely adore Final Destination 3, then you'll understand my love for this movie a little bit more. It gets some bonus points for having her in this. Wendy from Final Destination 3. I just love her in this. Great acting, John Goodman, terrifying as fuck in this. And you got the bad guy from Hush playing the sort of love interest or just best friend in this one. The kind of comic character, comic relief, and it's just very intense beginning to end. It's a mystery also, sort of, unless you already knew going in, because it's called Cloverfield. You kind of already know what's going to happen at the end. But let's just say it wasn't called that. You really wouldn't see it coming at the end. And it is kind of like a mystery, because you're not quite sure on first watch, like, is John Goodman just nuts? Is he making up this bullshit about what's happening above? Is there really some kind of chemical attack? Is the air poisoned up there? Or, is there, some kind of nuclear warfare going on? Is it aliens? You don't know. Or is he just kidnapping these people because he's lonely and he just wants to trap them down there? And then you get to the end and things are revealed and it becomes Cloverfield. It's 10 Cloverfield Lane. It had to go in that direction to justify that title, And I'm curious what the original script was, because I heard that this one got changed. It wasn't a Cloverfield movie at all. And then J.J. Abrams looked at it and was like, "Oh, let's make it Cloverfield. It will be like a sequel of sorts to Cloverfield from 2008." But I'm very curious if they changed anything, if it was supposed to end this way. I'd be curious to check that out. But yes, I just think this movie is phenomenal, beginning to end, quickly paced, intense, beginning to end. Great final girl who's so smart, clever. Like when she wakes up in that room, she immediately knows what to do. Sets that fire, takes her crutch, like sharpens it. Like she's very smart. And yeah, I hear a lot of people complain about just where it goes in the ending, but like I said, it kind of had to go there. That's where it needed to go to justify it being called 10 Cloverfield Lane. And I like that happened. I thought that was also great. It's not as great as everything that happened before, but it's still good. But yeah, I love this movie. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 Cloverfield Lane. Phenomenal movie. Absolutely love it. So that's my number one. So let's get rid of that. And let's just quickly shout out all these movies that just missed the list. All these other movies that I could have had at my number 15 and 16 spot. Movies like Clown, the Eli Roth produced movie. That one got shelved for a couple of years. It finally got a DVD release in 2016. Crush the Skull, another home invasion movie. Very funny. They're Watching, found footage movie with Chris Lemke from Final Destination 3. Batshit, third act. Southbound, anthology movie. Grew on me on second watch. A little confusing, but worth a watch. The Mind's Eye by director Joe Begos. Scherzo Diabolico. Not a lot of people have seen this one, but I highly recommend it. The Love Witch. Love the style of this movie more than anything. The story, not so much, but the performances and the style of the film, I really liked it. And then, speaking of witches, The Witch. The VV-itch. This is the movie that would make everyone's list. Most film lovers' lists. Because of the cinematography and the performances of this movie, which, are good, but it's just not my kind of movie. For some reason, this movie, the more I watch it, I like it just a little less. Just a little. I don't dislike the movie. I give it a 7 out of 10. That means I like it. It's good. I'm not blown away by The Witch like everyone else. And I'm especially not blown away by The Lighthouse. I don't care how good those performances are. That movie bores the fuck out of me. But The Witch, a little bit of a slow burn. I don't know. There's just something about the dialogue in this movie, because it's written to be old English. It's set in the 1600s or something. So just the way they talk, I get a lot of like unintentional humor from this movie, and that's what kind of ruins the experience. Is because like the way they talk, I'm just for some reason laughing at them, and it's not supposed to be funny at all. So that kind of just hurts my experience of it for some reason. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one that finds humor in this film, but like when the brother, like towards the end, when he's like half naked and he's like yelling to Jesus, and it seems like he's like having an orgasm, like the spirit of God is like fucking him. Like that's like how he's acting. Like it's insane, and I'm just laughing at it. I don't think it's creepy at all, and I think that's what they were going for. Like, oh my gosh, this is like unsettling. This is weird. This is eerie, and I'm just like I'm laughing at it and cracking up. Like this is ridiculous. But whatever. So yeah, The Witch. I recommend it, but I'm not like 10 out of 10. I love it like everyone else is. You know, all through the house, very cheesy, gory. Uh, Christmas slasher, Killer Santa, Sweet Home, another home invasion movie, pretty gory in moments. Windmill Massacre, this is a European slasher movie, supernatural slasher. Ouija, The Origins of Evil. That's the other Mike Flanagan film from this year. Very good, especially the lead performance from the little girl who's gone on to do many other horror movies like Becky, Wrath of Becky. The Neighbor and The Good Neighbor, both of those movies worth checking out. Oh, here's the other movie that everyone loves. At least a lot of people, they love this movie. The Wailing. Very long, 2.5 hour, like, it's like the South Korean version of The Exorcist. And it's so long. And you know, it's well shot, it looks good. But fuck, there's lots of moments where I fall out of it. Like I acknowledge this is a good movie. It's a 7 out of 10. But I would love to love this movie and be one of those people that can give it like a 9 out of 10. But I've seen this movie 2 times now at least. I don't see myself ever watching it again. It's just too long for me. Emily, the crazy babysitter movie. Check that one out. I Am Not a Serial Killer. Christopher Lloyd from Back to the Future. Baskin, the Turkish horror movie. It's on Shudder. And here's a movie that's you're not going to find it easily. It's called Masks from 2011. It got a wide release at some point in 2016, and now it's like gone. It's hard to find. I managed to track it down a couple of years ago and watched it on YouTube, and now it's gone. So, but it's a German giallo, and it's definitely worth seeking out. It's gory. It's like a German version of like Suspiria. The soundtrack, the lighting, lots of nudity. It's a shame that this movie doesn't have like a better release than that. It should be on Shudder. Like this is a movie that you would expect to see on Shudder, and it should be. Corpse of Anna Fritz, quite enjoyed it. Was a little confused at the end, but Winners Tape All. Not a horror movie, but it's about two guys who made a horror movie, but not really. It's a fake horror movie it's a mockumentary, but check it out. It's funny. Fear Inc. is a good one. Scare Campaign, that's like the other movie like Fear Inc. from this year. And Blair Witch. I enjoyed Blair Witch. I thought it was good. It's definitely better than the original, in my opinion. There's another controversial opinion. But Blair Witch, the whole like last 15 minutes of this movie I thought was really intense. So it's better than anything in the original movie. Purge Election Year. It's my favorite Purge. The Boy I thought was okay. Good concept, just not the best execution. Viral and The Green Room. That's another one. That's another movie right there. The Green Room. The Wailing, The Witch, Green Room. That's another movie that would make a lot of people's list. But I thought it was okay. I thought it was fine. Not great. Darling, with Lauren Ashley Carter. She does a lot of indie horror films. It's probably my favorite one from Lauren Ashley Carter. And What We Become and Summer Camp are two virus films, kind of zombie type films. And Francesca, that's another one like Mask. It's kind of like a Suspiria, a giallo. Kind of hard to find. I think it's on Tubi, maybe. I don't know. At least it was a couple years ago when I watched it. And Howl, like the one werewolf movie from this year, worth checking out. Howl. I mean, this list goes on and on and on. There's so many movies I saw from this year. So let's jump ahead to this shit. All right, worst movies. Cabin Fever remake, shot for shot, basically terrible. Not even as funny as the original. Horrible. It's a pointless remake. Why did it even get made? It's terrible. Shelley, slow burn drama horror, boring as fuck. Sharknado, whatever the fuck, I can't read it. I'm not sure which sequel this is. I think it's 4. All these movies can suck my dick. I hate them. Be My Cat, this movie can just go to hell. I hate this movie so much. If there's any movie that I've ever been so pissed off at while watching, like, this is the movie that's pissed me off the most in recent memory. Like, this movie was so goddamn annoying that I don't know why I didn't just turn it off, but I was like, I'm not gonna let this movie win. I'm gonna finish it. Fuck it. So I stuck through. But this movie was so annoying that I turned off the volume completely. And even reading the subtitles were annoying. That was annoying. You know why? Because it's repetition. And I think I've stated this before, but for some reason, I'm easily irritated by repetitious things. Like, really, like if a word or a sentence is said over and over again, I notice it, and then I keep listening for it, and that's all my brain focuses on. Or like a music cue, or just music. If it's repetitive, that bugs the shit out of me. Like, I don't know, just repetitious things, they bug the fuck out of me. I don't know why. It just does. Like, very quickly, more than most normal people. And in this movie, this guy who is just hard to look at, sorry, but and his voice is annoying, so his voice is annoying, and the things he's saying are extra annoying, and he's saying the same fucking words again and again. He keeps repeating every sentence that comes out of his mouth like 100 times. Like, he'll say like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, like, and you just want to like punch your fucking TV. It's that bad. It's so goddamn. Oh my. Worst movie ever from this year. Fuck Be My Cat. Worst. It's found footage, and I usually love found footage, but this is the worst. This makes Blair Witch Project to me look like a goddamn masterpiece. The Godfather compared to this garbage. And this concept seems interesting enough. Like, if it was handled by a much better, more talented director and actor with a better script instead of just, I swear this movie had no script. It was like just this dude had a weird idea for a found footage movie. A guy who's like obsessed with this one actress, and he wants to like make a video for her to see, and want to like join his little movie, his like snuff film, because he ain't no fucking, he's an amateur, he's not a filmmaker, he thinks he's one, he's crazy. But like, interesting concept, but it's just him like ad-libbing the entire fucking movie. Just like, I don't know what to say. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. And I'm reading the subtitles because I muted it. I'm reading the subtitles and it's the same fucking words again and again and again. So even that was pissing me off. So yeah, fuck this movie and its stupid face. Don't ever watch it. Ever. Just burn every copy you find at a store so that no one else buys it. It's that terrible. Alright, so that's the end. Oh, fuck. I really hated that movie. So yeah, that's the end of this. I got nothing else to say. I mean, there's other movies I could have shouted out and said were terrible. Like, Tell Me How I Die. That was terrible. And Fender Bender, the slasher with the most stupidest fucking characters ever. Let's call the cops. No, because we're in enough trouble as it is. Like, how is that helping? Like, call the fucking cops, you idiot. Quit writing stupid characters in movies. It's not the 80s anymore. Quit making characters that fucking stupid in slashers. Alright? There's no excuse anymore. People are smarter nowadays. We have phones. And when a character tells you to call the cops, you don't say, no, I think I can take this guy myself. We're in enough trouble as it is. If the cops come, what's the worst that can happen? Like, it's so fucking stupid. I almost want to turn off that movie. So, yeah, fuck Fender Bender. Didn't like Sunchoke. Didn't like I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House. That movie was boring as shit, too. And I love Oz Perkins' other film, The Black Coat's Daughter. I thought that movie was amazing. And that's a slow burn also. But this was like a slow burn. This was double the burn. It was so slow. This was moving at a snail's pace. It was like an 80-minute movie with like a 5-minute story in it. Like, you could have told it so quickly. It was nothing to it. So there was no excuse to drag every fucking shot for 20 minutes. But whatever. So that's my top 16 of 2016. Let me know what your top 16 is in the comments below if you wish to do so, and what your thoughts are on the 3 movies I was talking about earlier: Quicksand, Capsules, and 65. So yeah, let me know, and thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video for my top 17 of 2017.